Honey, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Again? Just where are you going?
Where are you going? You're not going to the bar again, are you?
You like hanging out, drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports. So welcome to another week of Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your favorite podcast, probably the best podcast out there for sports. So keep on listening and send your friends our way. We get the pleasure every week to drink beer, hang out. Sometimes we drink whiskey. Other times we're live and in person at a bar like we are today at Papa Tony's Pizza in Northeast Columbia. You can come out and eat probably the best damn barbecue pizza I've ever had in my life. That's pulled pork. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it is amazing.
So good.
You could come out and eat that, hang out with Papa Tony and drink some beer, whatever you want to do. But this week we're going to be talking about Week 9 college football as well as looking back a little bit Week 8 of college football as well. The other thing is we like to make some money on this show so we can put some investment into it. And one of the things we're trying to invest in is better sound quality. We all talked about that last week after the show. And you know what? If you want to help support us, support our drinking habit, support whatever you want to, you can Venmo us at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. We'll utilize that money appropriately.
From my belly.
For my belly. For my belly.
Get my belly.
Or better sound quality. One of the two. I don't know. It depends upon how much we're drinking out, you know?
That's what my belly will sound like.
Exactly. But when you're Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, you know, all we got to do is hang out and drink beer at a bar while we talk sports. So that's not too hard to do. But anyway, yeah, Venmo, Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. You can follow us on our website as well. Surprisingly, that's called www.guysatthebartalkingsports.com.
Wow.
And we also have a Facebook group. And what is that one called? Does anyone know that? Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, baby. That's right. So you can go ahead and follow our Facebook group. We also have a page. Follow that. You know what? If you figure out anything else that we should do with the name Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, maybe we'll throw it on a t-shirt. Who knows?
Trucker hats.
Trucker hats, whatever. Yeah,
Flag.
exactly. Flags.
For game day.
I do have a flag,
Banana
actually. I do have a flag. All right, so let's get some introductions going here. We do not have Rooster here today, and I was really hoping to ask Rooster about this Syracuse versus Pitt game that's coming up this weekend. But since we have the next best thing, the Mountain Man, I need to ask you about that. How do you feel about Pitt being 6-0 right now, man?
It's gross.
It's gross. Yeah, you do not like Pitt at all, do you?
I hate Pitt.
Truly detest.
Yeah, I detest Pitt. I can't stand them. People in Pittsburgh are good people. I don't like Pitt. But I'm really a big Syracuse fan this weekend.
All right.
Thursday night, right?
Yeah, you're going for that Big Orange, huh?
Big Orange. I don't like them either. An old Big East rival, but I'm going to be pulling for the Big Orange over the Kitty Cats there at Pitt.
There you go. And we got the Chief. Chief, did anyone think Clemson was going to be doing as good as they are right now, or what? Because I feel like people had relatively low expectations going into the season.
After the second half against Georgia.
Yeah.
They still should be low. But they looked real solid this weekend.
Playing who? Wake Forest?
Wake Forest.
Oh, come on, man. I'm going to have my Aaron Rodgers moment. Come on, man.
Come on, man. You heard him. It's the App State fan himself.
Did you even watch that game, Chief?
Yeah.
Amazing.
We got the Rebel here. How you doing, Rebel?
I'm confused, but I'm doing well.
That's because I got a thing where you can go record.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm following here. But I'll tell you, that thing right there scaring the hell out of me. You need to move this little trick-or-treat, little demon pumpkin thing.
Oh,
So my friend is looking at a demon pumpkin behind us at Papa Tony's.
I can't tell if he's reaching in the bag or in his pants with both hands, but either way.
They're decorating for Halloween, man. Let them go, man. I'm telling you. So anyway, we also have my man himself, Chopper. How you doing,
going
Chopper? Auburn. Whew.
Yeah, bad.
It's rough.
Bad.
Not good.
Coach is going anywhere, or is he staying around?
Oh, he's going to stay around.
It's only the fact that Auburn's having so many interceptions, fumbles, all that stuff, man.
Let me ask you this.
They're
Are
not
the
a
fans
bad
having
football
fun?
team. They just can't put it all together right now.
I mean, is the tailgate all right?
Is the tailgate all right? Are the fans having fun? Is the weather nice? Isn't that really all that matters
it's fixing
anymore?
to not be so fun.
Well,
Second half of the season.
I mean, as long as you beat Alabama, it's all good to go, right? And they look beatable. They look beatable.
Not by that dream.
Listen, Auburn is not a bad team. They just can't put a whole game together right now.
Yeah.
And once we put a whole
I think
team
that's the
together,
definition of a bad team.
well,
No, that was like.
nah.
If you're-
Because
Virginia would be undefeated if they put a whole game
You see
together.
shining moments where you're like, okay, this is
Appalachia would be
looks
undefeated
good.
if they always scored more points than the other team.
Yeah. Hey, great recruiting class coming in this year, though.
That's right, and that's what's important. A great recruiting class. So let's go ahead and look back. Oh, well, you got some meatballs here.
Boy.
He likes some big meaty balls in
He
his
does
mouth.
like big meaty balls in his mouth. Oh yeah, saucy balls, baby.
Saucy balls.
All right,
Balls and the sauce.
let's take a look back on last week, shall we? We had a couple good games last week. One of my favorite games that I was watching was that Miami at Louisville game. It was exciting. They put almost 100 points that game. 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone. And does this help legitimize Miami's story yet? Or what do you think? Oh, I see some heads shaking. So
What do you think the story is?
They play in the ACC. That's the end of the conversation.
So you want to move on to the next game?
No, I'm just saying. Miami's plays in the ACC. It's them and Clemson. They're going to play head to head. Whoever wins, that's going to be the 4 seed. And
what about Pitt? Where are they playing?
I don't see Pitt beating either one of them.
Okay.
Pitt's a player or two away from being really good. I think they're maximizing their potential based on what they have, and they've had a favorable schedule thus far too. But I think it's going to be Miami and Clemson's 2-horse race to see who's going to be the 4 seed in the playoffs for them to get their ass handed to them the first game they play. I mean, they're going to get an SEC school that's going to beat the piss out of them. That's just going to be the way that shakes.
So, yeah, Miami, with the very fact that Louisville was able to put up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, it shows that their defense is not as strong as they should have been. I think Louisville even scored 49 points on them, right? So I think it was 52-49 at the end.
Now, the flip side of this?
Yeah.
Louisville, if they can keep players around, that's going to be a challenge because it's Louisville. They're a player or two away from being legitimate Lamar Jackson type Louisville again.
Yeah, but even Lamar Jackson type Louisville, they didn't make the 14 playoff.
No, but I'm saying they were competitive to it. Like I forget who that was. It Clemson. I think it was Clemson that year. They took to the brink and Clemson beat them late, and that was the end of it.
They were in the same division with Clemson, so it was the winner of that game would go on to the ACC chance. That kind of knocked them out of the running back.
Correct.
Yes, but
Clemson plays Pitt on November 16th at Pitt. Clemson was that game.
Yeah, and we're gonna. I mean, those are games that are coming. Those are games that are going to define Miami and Clemson's schedule. I mean, it just comes down to that game last week. Looking at Miami, I mean, legitimately, they are great on offense. You cannot deny that. It's not that they're playing a bunch of bad defenses. They are, but still, they're able to put up a lot of points every single game. Their quarterback is just killing it. So I think that you got to look at Miami if they can hold their own against Georgia and put up points. It might be a shootout, but
they would need a lot of things. They would need turnovers and maybe some special teams play to really. I mean, they do have good offense, but they're setting themselves up for a major butt kicking. The way that they're just letting these games. Cal had them beat. Louisville probably should have beat them. Virginia Tech did beat them. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
So they're living on the edge.
They still have a goose egg at the end.
I understand that, but when it comes down to playing a team with a good defense, I don't know if that offense will ever keep up with anybody.
Chief,
if Syracuse wins this weekend or Thursday night, and continues. I mean, Syracuse is 5-1 today, so Syracuse 6-1, 7-1.
They lost a game they should have won. So
they are playing. Miami's coming to Syracuse now. It's in the dome, so weather's not going to matter. But still, Miami's playing at Syracuse. That's the last game of the season for Miami.
Yeah, it's going to be about as loud as it is in a stadium in Miami because there's not a lot of fans either way when you're at either of those games. I can't imagine. I can't imagine Syracuse. I mean, I'm sorry, Spencer's mom.
No, that dome gets packed for a game like that. That game has
it's
meaning
not,
to it.
It's not
it'll
big.
get packed.
But I think what we take away from this game is you got some teams that are above average flopping around that as soon as they get in the playoff, they're going to get their teeth kicked in. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, the ACC and Big 12 they're going to get their coming up in the playoff.
They're going to be all up in the air. But in the same breath, hey, all you ask is a chance. Get in the game, there, and you never know what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get in the playoffs. Round 1. See you later. Have a great night. Moving on.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's ACC and Big 12. We're going to get into that later on as well because I want to talk about which teams are going to make it into the playoffs, which teams are not, and also how it plays out for the different conferences as well. So we're going to get into that. Indiana didn't go in. They were at home, but they hosted Nebraska and just whooped the shit out of them. Let's be honest with it, right? Like Nebraska legitimately has a good defense, and they look like they just. They were, exactly. They were like a deer in headlights against that Indiana offense. Is Indiana's offense that good?
Well, no. I mean, Coach Bagadix can coach some offense. The problem is they haven't played against a really good offense yet. That's the thing. So their defense hasn't had to work real hard. Where they're going to meet theirs is they're going to have to get into a shootout somewhere, most likely November 23rd at Ohio State. Up to that point, I mean, Michigan is bad. I've told you all year, Michigan is not a good football team. I think they beat them. At Michigan State will be harder than it should be. That's always a tough place. They got Washington this week.
They're undefeated, right, Indiana?
Yes.
Indiana's
And they're dropping stupid points. Like they're looking like Texas Tech type points are scored.
I didn't get a chance to watch that game. When did the starting quarterback for Indiana go out? Was it already a blowout or was it close when he went out?
The game ended up where the starting quarterback went out relatively late in the game. I think he had surgery this week on his thumb or something like that.
Thumb.
But they were talking about it the other game, like, oh, he's not throwing the way he should be. So he would have came out after they've already pretty much won the game, though.
Yes. I guess the question I have this weekend is, does that backup quarterback? I mean, game day is going to be there. This is going to be a different kind of environment. I know they had Big Noon, but Noon's not the same thing as game day. and that backup quarterback, he's going to have to start. Is the moment going to be too big for him? I mean, look, this is Indiana's on the map now. They're not hiding from anybody. So that pressure sometimes, and maybe I'm just talking being a WU fan. We watch that crap happen all the time.
No, it's literally something to think about.
I just wonder if they're going to fold.
I mean, it's like Colorado. As soon as game day went out to play with them, they played Colorado State that day. They beat them, but then afterwards, they thought they were the shit.
Yeah.
And then it fell apart.
Right.
Indiana, I think that I think there's discipline on the sidelines there.
No, begrudgingly, that coach is a good coach. He will not be at Indiana very long. We discussed that last week. Did he not play there?
He played at WU.
Oh, did he play? Oh, that's where
His dad coached at West Virginia.
That's what it was.
Top 2 teams in the Big Ten right now, Oregon and Indiana.
In Indiana. And I mean,
Both 7-0.
Again, Indiana can score some points. I just don't feel like they played a team that could challenge their defense very much. Or if they did figure them out, they already were 40 points in the hole, and it doesn't matter at that point. But they're fun to watch.
Nebraska threw 3 interceptions, so that says something about the defense. You're rushing the quarterback. He's getting flustered. He's throwing interceptions. That's not just Dylan Raiola making a mistake. That's Dylan Raiola 3 times screwing up because he got forced to screw up.
And all 3 of those resulted in points for Indiana, right?
Yeah. I think they started at 20, in the 20, 30-yard line several times because of that. Yeah, for sure.
I think they can beat Washington. After that, it gets a little real for them in a couple games. I think Ohio State is on that schedule.
Well, that's what I said. That November 23rd, they're at the Horseshoe.
Some of these games are coming up fast.
That's going to decide the deal. And like I said, I think Ohio State's going to end up as a playoff team, Final Four team, because, as we mentioned, I said losing to Oregon is the best thing that could happen to them, where they can try to go in and try to correct it at this point.
They better correct it, especially if they are playing Indiana, playing with
Otherwise, old boy is gone at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe to Florida. I'm just kidding. Or Auburn.
Biggest game of the week last week, obviously Georgia, Texas, but also Tennessee, Alabama was a huge game last week.
It was a great second half.
And the entire game, the first half was a little slow. Only 7 points went on the board with Alabama. Tennessee looked like a bag of shit because they were interceptions, fumbles. I think they had three turnovers in the first half. It looked bad, and it was but otherwise they were moving the ball down the field. Like they seemed like they had everything going, but then they would just throw an interception or fumble it. So
they have not been the same on offense since Texas A&M. And Rebel said it shortly thereafter. Maybe I'm not sure how you said it, but I remember you saying, hey, maybe they're trying to make the offense well-rounded, but when they start playing real good teams, that offense is getting slowed down quite a bit. Now they're still effective, but yeah, since Texas A&M, they have not been the same explosive offensive team. They just haven't done it. Their defense, I still impressed with their defense. I still really do like their defense.
Defense is keeping them in the games right now because they're in the past. You think about 2 years ago with Booker, that was a problem. They was outscoring everybody. Defense was a little sluggish at times. The thing you saw here, though, was you saw the glimmers in the second half of what they can be if they can get the pieces. Again, it's one of those teams, every time I watch Tennessee, I'm like, you see it, it's just something's a little off. And they just haven't found that little bit of fine-tuning yet. Will they be able to or not? I don't know. I'm going to tell you what, I take more, other than the impressive Tennessee win, I'm going to tell you what, the Warriors lost that team in terms of controlling that team, not winning or second. I mean, we saw the play where, 2 weeks ago against Vanderbilt when the guy kicks the ball, gets a late foul. You're playing Tennessee, you get the ball back with 2 minutes left in the game, you start driving, you throw a ball up around the 40, 45, 50-yard line, and your receiver jumps up and gets a personal foul, a 15-yard personal foul that stalls that drive immediately. That is a discipline problem. I would have loved to have seen that happen with the GOAT on the sideline as to what that would have looked like when he came off the field if Saban would have been on the sideline. But you wouldn't have seen it because Saban team ain't going to do that. Okay, so what you're seeing now is Alabama's got as much talent as anybody in the country, and they should be way better than they are. They've lost control of that team in terms of discipline and being able to understand what we're trying to do here.
And they're not playing well together.
That's what I'm saying. It's about me. It's about me getting my money, about me getting to the league. I mean, that's what you see when you watch Alabama. It's you just don't see. I mean, you see kids throwing temper tantrums because they ain't getting theirs, I'm missing a tackle and I'm going to start throwing stuff around, or I'm going to get up and I'm going to gloat in the guy's face and get a PI for something stupid at possibly the most critical moment in the game. That's a lack of discipline, and that reflects as to how the coach is. So, I mean, again, I think he's a good coach. I think DeBoer can coach the game, but
I don't think it's just. I mean, it's obviously the coaching that's causing it. But the fact is, he's only been there for 12 months, or 11 months or something. Right?
The kid at the end of the Vanderbilt game should have at least been benched the first half of the second game. You send the message right there, and they did nothing to him. So now it's a Wild West. These kids think they can get away with murder, damn near. And you're seeing that reflected on their ability to put together a full game. Alabama should have won that game. I mean, at the end of the day, they had the momentum. They were driving it down. It's barring some funky. They had a chance to win the game, but because of a stupid PI, it was over. It was over. Right.
Well, Melrose looked averaged. He's looked average since Georgia. He has not looked like the Heisman Trophy guy, and he threw that bad interception at the end.
Oh yeah.
But and again, that's desperation time and stuff like that. But
And he's young. I mean, you can't.
he is. I just don't
say anything
understand.
about that.
I think that Georgia game. Georgia seems to be the linchpin for a lot of things going on right now, but that Georgia game, after that, what happened? They lose to Vanderbilt, and discipline has been bad since then.
Yeah.
I think the board may have. He had such a loosey-goosey locker room. People loved it, but now it's hard to rein that back in when you've already let the kids do whatever they want.
It could be because he's new and just kind of feeling it out too.
That's a stupid way to go about it.
Well, I'm not saying that there's not. However, I mean, you could see a shift also too based on what he's hearing.
Yeah.
Because he's hearing that from everywhere.
Oh, he's under a lot of pressure.
So-
He's clearly hearing it from everywhere.
I mean,
Well, he's hearing in a lot of different places. 'Cause I think
you can get criticized for going overboard too. So I think he's trying to feel his way through that.
look, I mean, it's one of those things of it's so polar opposite. The fan base ain't going to have much patience for this. I'm not saying they're going to run him out of town next year. I'm not saying that. But you've gone from a hardline authoritative who's won X amount of national championships to a guy who's kind of this laissez-faire. I'm a West Coast, Northwest guy.
Do you think it's really like that in the locker room or not?
You don't know what's in a locker room ever. I've tried to explain that in many ways. You don't know, but
Yeah.
you're not one way in the locker room and then flip the switch when you can go a different way on the sideline. You look at Kirby Smart. That craziness you see on the sideline is exponentially worse in the locker room. Same thing with Saban. You're not going to see this kind of laid-back dude go in the locker room and start chewing ass. That just is not going to happen.
It falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, Saban's there. It's a business proposition. You're there to win. You're here because I let you stay here.
Yep.
And if you don't get yourself in line, you're gone. There's someone else who can fill your shoes. I got plenty of 5 stars that want to come here. Sorry.
It's the
right?
little things.
Yeah.
I mean, Saban was. That was the thing that made him better than everybody else. Was the little things that mattered. I mean, that Bill Belichick, model, little things. And there's more to football than just scoring a lot of points and having all the big guys and tackling everything. There's the little things that make a difference, and that's not happening with LSU.
But I'll put it like this: they legitimately have a very real chance of losing their next 2 games. They play Missouri this week. I don't think they lose in Missouri, but I didn't think South Carolina would put them to the brink either.
Right.
LSU now, as I was wrong a couple weeks ago, they're starting to get their legs under them a little bit. LSU may beat them. It's at
They're number
LSU.
2 in the conference right now.
Who's at LSU? Yeah, so, I mean, you go down to Baton Rouge, you lose it's at Baton Rouge.
And they're tied for number 2 officially because they don't have a loss in the SEC.
Correct.
They're going to lose
They're-
that last game too.
Oh, man.
Tied for number 2? No, Georgia's number 3
Just
with a
watch,
loss.
my man. Just
They're playing
watch.
at Tuscaloosa.
I'm saying they're tied for
watch.
number 2 because number 1 because they're. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant number 1.
Well,
anyway,
Texas A&M is 4-0 and LSU's 3-0, so that's
yeah. So okay, they're number
in the
2
conference.
All right, so LSU beat the crap out of Arkansas this week, 34-10. I thought that legitimately Arkansas could give them a run for it.
I did too.
well.
I picked them. I thought for sure that was.
too.
I don't remember if I picked Arkansas or not. I just know
I don't know
that.
if that's just a
Arkansas always
letdown game
gets
off of that
LSU
Tennessee
on
win. I just don't know. I
Well,
mean,
it's been a while though. Hasn't it?
2 weeks, but still.
I just think LSU's like you just said it. They get their legs under him. I can't stand Brian Kelly, but he's got that team playing.
They'll find a way to lose. Don't worry about it.
Well, I bet there's discipline in that locker room in some way, right? I mean, he's humping the back of those guys.
He figured out a
sometimes,
way to keep the ship. I mean, because right off the bat, they lost that game in week 1 against USC, and he's banging the table in his press conference, throwing his players on the bus. He managed to keep him in line, and they're playing. They're getting every week. They're getting better and better and better.
Yeah, they had 25 first downs versus Arkansas's 15 first downs. 3 turnovers on Arkansas's side as well. LSU is legitimately playing good on defense. I think they're a top 10 defense right now.
That's what I'm saying. Where you're seeing the improvement in defense, offensively, they are average, a little above, but you're starting to see them get back to old LSU football where they're just going to knock your head clean off if you let them.
And you could win a national championship with average
Average
offense
but
and
good
great defense.
There's been a many
Georgia
example of
Georgia
that.
2 years or 3 years ago.
And LSU is on a 6-game win streak after that USC loss.
Yeah.
It's-
And you can't say they're not playing people. I mean, they're having to play
No,
some
they're-
teams.
They might have the hardest. One of the hardest. Not Florida had the hardest schedule in the SEC.
that Arkansas game told me something about it.
Yeah, Arkansas, LSU, 38 yards on Arkansas side for rushing. 38 yards they held them to on 19 carries. That's pathetic numbers.
That's like
for-
a quarter's worth of rushing in most games.
I just hope the Arkansas fans
Or
had a
half.
good time and the weather was nice.
Say that again?
I just hope the Arkansas fans had a good time and the weather was nice.
Yes.
That's all I can hope for.
They had a good tailgate for sure. Georgia versus Texas. Man.
That was the most wild thing I've ever seen.
So first things first, Texas pulls Quinn Ewers out of the game for the back half of the second quarter, puts him back in immediately for the second half and kept him in there. But there was a lot of talk going on. Hey, are they going to do a rotating quarterback? What's going on? Sarkisian put that to sleep. He said, no, Quinn Ewers is my starter.
It didn't work out for either.
But it did. But yeah, I mean,
Guys, that's called welcome to SEC defense. That's what that's called. Texas, I think with 3 minutes left in the first half or 4 minutes left in the first half, had 15 yards of offense. 15 yards. That was dreadful. Now, granted, they put it together a little bit and made the game competitive, but Texas.
They scored their 15 points in the third quarter.
Correct.
And nothing else afterwards.
Yeah, so they found out what a defense looks like.
There were not many people giving Georgia a chance at all.
Well,
Pick them to win.
Yeah, a couple.
I mean, to be fair,
there weren't a lot of people giving them a chance, and
But to be
that
fair,
just told me internally that they were going
that
to come out.
That
and
Georgia team we
stop
saw
them.
Saturday night was the Georgia team that we were warned about in August.
That's the
They
Georgia
were
team in the
dominant.
second half against Clemson.
And the second half
Against Alabama.
Yep.
I mean, that Georgia team that played the first half against Alabama and played that Mississippi State team last week, they might have won that. That Georgia team looked unbeatable.
Yeah.
And maybe
I mean,
Texas is a little. Every week we say this team is
Texas just looked amazing
Texas
every week.
is
To
until
come
this
into
game.
the SEC and run the table is like,
No, yeah, you're right. Somebody's going to drop.
somebody's gonna drop
But to
them.
drop it home the way
Yeah.
they dropped it.
Yeah.
But to me, the game is whatever. Is that reverse that call, that pass interference that wasn't, and then people throw bottles on the field. I've never seen anything like that in my life. That was awful.
But
was
like I
there
said,
any replay of that, or did they just change their mind?
I don't know.
What happened?
I
there?
just feel like Texas fans got their way.
No, not counting that.
Is that what it seems like, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But I mentioned this last week, and I'll mention it again. They ran to a defense because Texas, Colorado State, a bad Michigan team, UTSA, Louisiana Monroe, and Mississippi State, Oklahoma. That's who they played at that point. They hadn't played anybody with some bite in their ass until they played Georgia, and they found out.
And Carson Beck was not exactly on fire the whole game.
No.
He threw 3 interceptions.
We just talked about it. You got a defense that can shut down the other team. You can squeak out enough points to win a ball game. I mean, they scored 30. So, I mean, that's not really squeaking
When
out.
Texas
but-
has 2 interceptions,
Correct.
then it's easy through that defense, and they're able to get there on the 25, 30-yard line, and then Carson Beck only has to go that far. He doesn't need to be an outstanding quarterback, and he's a great quarterback, but he's not an exceptional quarterback. He's not a Heisman Trophy winner.
He's efficient.
He's-
I'll give him efficient.
Okay, efficient. We'll go with
I
that.
wouldn't call a guy great. He throws a lot of picks, and he's a dink and dunker.
But, I mean, what I'm interested to see now is, Texas already, in their minds, I think, has been crowned national champions in many ways. And they just found out how are they going to respond to it. I mean, realistically, they should be very much favored until their very last game of the year
Who
at
does
A&M.
Texas have this weekend?
They have Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and
In Nashville.
we are talking
In
about that
Nashville.
game, and
Okay.
so that's a game that we're going to talk
They
about. If you want
got
to keep on listening.
Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, A&M. That's the remainder of their schedule.
Yeah, in Texas, I mean, it's a doable schedule. Texas A&M's gonna be tough. I mean, Texas A&M's playing good football right now, legitimately good football.
I've seen,
rivalry.
I've seen
Yeah,
many
and a rivalry.
good seasons at University of Texas die at the hands of Texas A&M.
A&M.
So it's going to be fun.
I'm glad that rivalry's back.
Yeah, but Texas isn't guaranteed to win all those games. I mean,
No.
I mean,
Alabama thought they could beat Vandy.
It's because Florida's on there. Now I know where he's going.
Florida's on there. I'll be there in 2 weeks, baby. I'll be there in 2 weeks.
They're playing for their coach.
And Florida's,
They looked really good this weekend.
they looked good against Kentucky. We're not going to talk about that game. I didn't want to bring it up, but they looked good against Kentucky.
What are
Yeah.
they, 4-3?
4-3 right now. Yeah.
Hey,
So
4-3, 2-2 in the SEC.
So I digress for a second. Does a 6-6 season keep?
Billy Napier around.
Yeah.
We were expected to win 4.5 games, so I think it'll exceed expectations. Let's just
Nice.
say that. But then again, I think that they're on a hunt for a new quarter or new coach. I don't want to see that, man. I think that Billy Napier, like we said
Honestly,
in the past, the culture's right there. The guys play hard every single game, no matter what.
Honestly,
even
in
though
today's
they're-
world, the best thing to happen to Billy Napier is to go 7-5, and they axe his ass because he'll walk into another job.
That's true. Yeah,
I mean,
good
that's
point.
good. Honestly, in the back of his mind, he's going, let me get 7 wins, 6 wins maybe, and then let me get the hell out
Go
of
to
here.
like Mississippi State.
I'll take,
No,
He would be
no,
set.
we can go there.
I'll take the SEC retirement plan and go hang out in Costa Rica somewhere, man. In all honesty,
him and
dude.
Jimbo Fisher can have my time.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Jimbo Fisher hanging out. All right, Iowa State barely ekes out a win against UCF. I don't even know why I brought this game up in the first place, but I just thought like Iowa State is the highest ranked team in the Pac-12 or the Big 12
Ten.
right now. The Big 12.
You brought it
Iowa
up
State
because
is
you're a
Big 12.
Golden Knight. Don't lie.
I'm bringing it up because I don't think that when you're almost losing to UCF, UCF is not a good team this year.
They should have lost to UCF.
They almost did. Like UCF was leading about half of that game probably. So Iowa State,
Questionable call. Then.
yeah, but
We've seen a lot of that this year.
yeah.
Yeah, gotta wrap
You
up.
see a lot of that every year, but Iowa State, I don't think that they survive much longer. I mean, BYU is right behind them at ranked number 11.
They're showing up the other way, and I'm trying to figure out why.
What's that?
What do you mean? They're both 4-0 in their conference.
And they're
That's
both
why it's
7-0 overall, and they're both
so-
4-0 at home.
So BYU in alphabetical order is
That's
ahead of
the
Iowa.
tiebreaker.
That's why it's showing
Big
like
12 simple. It's alphabetical.
Now, here's one thing. You're talking about how bad Central Florida is. They're a 1.5 point favorite against BYU this weekend. Now, you tell me how that is.
UCF is 1.5 point favorite
That
against
game's in
BYU this
Orlando.
weekend.
It's in Orlando.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
there's
give
only
a
38,000 seats in that stadium or something. It's not that
It's
big.
two
man.
time zones. It's going to be hot. Look, Vegas knows. Vegas always knows.
Boys in the desert know.
They
but
know.
Still.
Yeah.
I think
Don't
I
underestimate.
think I'm going to bet that line.
And they played good enough to almost beat Iowa State.
And BYU should have lost to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma State's bad.
So the only reason I brought that up is I don't think Iowa State, if they're playing against Georgia, Tennessee, Texas,
No.
Ohio State, Oregon, those top-ranked teams, there's plenty of teams that are ranked 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 that are better than them that can beat them.
The mission for the Big 12 is to get 2 teams in the playoff this year. That's the mission for them this year.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good mission to have, right?
Now that Arizona and Utah are garbage, because I think they were the hope. They were the hope for the Big 12. They're garbage. Now the plan is to hopefully get BYU and Iowa State in there and try to represent somewhat decent.
I was going to say, don't discount K-State yet either.
K-State's another one. I hate to say it, and you guys are going to cringe. Colorado is setting up really nice to make a run.
But they lost last week, and I just
2 losses can win this conference. 2 losses can win this.
They're 5-2 overall.
2 losses can win the conference.
All right, so let's talk about conferences then, shall we? We don't have somebody nowadays that moves me on to the next step, right? That gives me the nice little.
You want to talk about the Oklahoma game?
Nah, we're gonna skip that because I got to move on to the questions of the week, which is what's going on.
We can talk about the Oklahoma game. South
let's
Carolina
talk.
beat the piss out of them, moving right along.
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
That was fun.
That was freaking amazing. How many seconds was it? It was like 3 touchdowns scored in
All right,
seconds.
let's talk about that game, shall we? I don't know why I didn't have it on my list in the first place, but Carolina did put the whooping on Oklahoma. But
Somebody made
they're just not that good of a team.
Somebody made the comment on our Facebook page that Oklahoma is the new Vanderbilt. And they may not be crazy wrong for a few years with that statement, based on what we've seen this year.
That is not true, man, because they're going to be able to recruit just fine.
The way
They got a lot of money in that program.
What's there is going to get out of town next year. They are going. Any talent they got on that team is jettisoned next year. They're gone.
Texas A&M was looking like shit for like 3 seasons in a row, and
they changed coaches.
But people still stayed around.
Well, that's their money's way different than
Oklahoma's?
Yeah.
No, there's plenty of money in Oklahoma.
A&M has completely recovered. Though.
Oklahoma's at Ole Miss this weekend.
that game started for South Carolina as good as how bad the Mississippi game started for South Carolina. It was like the exact opposite.
It was.
Everything went your way.
I've said this. Here's what I'll say about this, and I'm done with this game, is the fact that South Carolina, in a world of transfer portals and NIL, if they can keep that team together, because they are a very young team, if they can keep that team together and add a couple more pieces, they are going to look like the Steve Spurrier days of South Carolina. They are really, really close to making a lot of noise. And if they do, Beamer's going to have some fun with it. Beamer, he's a good coach. The man can coach. He got good genes from his dad. Give him the personnel, and they're going to have some fun.
They are interesting to watch.
Oklahoma, they're at Ole Miss this weekend.
Lost.
They got to win because Maine's coming to town on November 2nd. Then they're at Missouri, and then Alabama comes to Oklahoma, and then they close it out at LSU.
And guess what? Maine is a very good 1AA team.
Yeah, that's a good team.
Maine.
I don't see them winning more than 1 game the rest of the season. Is what I'm saying. That's one maybe.
They got 2 in them. They got 2 in them.
Who are they going to beat? Every single team they play is
Missouri is the most beatable for those groups.
And
Their quarterback got hurt last week.
And they're playing at Missouri, and it's not for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So.
okay. SEC, man. Texas A&M, LSU are unbeaten right now. Georgia, Tennessee, Mizzou, Texas, Vandy, all 1 loss in the conference. Is that crazy that we're saying Vandy is in the picture for the SEC championship game?
It's very crazy.
Obviously, that's not going to happen. They're going to lose several more games, but
If they were to pull off the upset this week, holy hell! This conversation gets fun because they legitimately put themselves in the conversation.
I would love to see it.
Oh, I'd love to see it so many different
won't
ways.
happen.
I told you I love chaos.
One thing I did not expect at the beginning of the season, though, is to be saying Texas A&M and LSU would be unbeaten in the conference this far into the season, because those are 2 teams I was not high on Texas A&M at all, just because they have a brand new coach. A few of y'all corrected me on that and said, well, hold on, he's a good coach.
Well,
and they got
he
a lot of
didn't
talent.
have his quarterback out for 2 games?
Yeah. So I was not high on Texas A&M at all. LSU, on the other hand, I've always thought Brian Kelly knows what he's doing as a coach, and I thought that they would probably have a relatively good season, but not that good of a season because they just lost one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You know,
Brian Kelly's problem isn't can he coach. It isn't can he win some games. He can't win the big ones. He can't pull it out when it matters. He's first cousin of Franklin up at Penn State. I mean, it's just
he's played for national championship.
Fair enough. But that's going to be his downfall. He's going to look great. He'll get it together. LSU, you can recruit. LSU, I mean, is one of the premier places to go play college football. It'll always be that way. But when you get in the playoffs and it comes pucker time, he's going to find a way to shit to bed. That's the reality of it.
I don't know, man. You're at LSU. That's a program that has a lot of history of winning every What is it? They win about every 10 years.
Yeah, but
or
he don't
so.
say go Tigers.
They win a national championship about every 10
Yeah, he
years.
don't have Joe Burrow and Jordan
Jefferson.
What they won in
and,
04, 2017.
Chase.
2019.
2019 greatest college football team
Yeah,
ever.
so what is it, every 15 years
Video
then?
game.
Would that be then?
Well, so they won it in 19, and then they won it in, 08?
04?
They won it with Les Miles won one.
Oh, yeah,
Saban won
07.
one,
07
Orgeron
and
won.
Yeah,
04.
when Miles won, I think they had 4 losses that year.
Yeah.
That was 2007. I
2007.
don't want to talk about 2007. I want to talk about 2007.
But I think the teams to beat in the SEC right now have
The
got
Mad Hatter.
to be Texas A&M, LSU, Georgia, and Texas. I think Tennessee's beatable. They've been beaten. I think Mizzou's definitely beatable, even though they have one conference loss at all. And Vanderbilt is definitely beatable this weekend, probably.
So I think it'll be. I still think Georgia Texas will rematch in the SEC championship.
Georgia, Texas.
Going to College Station, man, I ain't so sure, man.
That determines it. Texas A&M, Texas will determine who's in the SEC championship at this point.
Yeah, Georgia, Tennessee, too.
Yeah, Georgia.
Can't overlook, you can't
Georgia
overlook,
lose that
you
game.
can't
Georgia
overlook
lose
Georgia,
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it at Tennessee or at Georgia?
It's at
I believe
Georgia.
it's at Georgia.
So Georgia's going to win that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. ACC, man. We've already talked shit about
Who
ACC
gives a damn?
football already. But we got Clemson. No, but it's wide open right now. You got Clemson, Miami, Pitt, SMU, all unbeaten in
They
their
just need to
conference.
put Boise State in over whoever wins that conference.
You got Duke, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and still write their own ticket with one loss. So, but you guys said it earlier. It's Clemson, Miami. Those are the
To me,
two
it
that are
is.
going to be in the
Pittsburgh could make some noise
If
if they
Pittsburgh
put it
beats-
together. Miami.
They play
Syracuse this week.
Yeah, but I'm saying they play both Clemson and Miami, correct? Or no? They play one of the two.
They play Miami, right? No, they play Miami or Clemson that Pittsburgh plays.
Pitt was playing Clemson.
Clemson.
So that could Miami plays the winner of that game.
Okay.
And God, I hope it's Clemson. Thank you. I cannot stand Pitt.
So ACC, we're going to be looking at Clemson and Miami right now. Duke, what about Duke?
What about
6-1, 2-1 in the conference.
They're not exactly blowing people out.
No.
They're winning.
they beat a bad Florida State team barely.
I think
They're not exactly blowing anybody out.
I think the one to keep your eye out for is SMU.
Yeah, that's where you beat me
right.
to it. We're coming up on that.
Yeah, what are they? Are they one loss in the conference?
No,
They're
undefeated in the conference. One loss
I
overall.
said this 2 years ago. The world we live in now is a world that SMU thrived in illegally back in the early 80s. There is
Pony
so
Express.
much money in Dallas, Texas,
Yep.
and there's so much alumni in Dallas, Texas, that the world we live in now, you're going to see the rise of the Pony Express again. They are now in a Power 4 conference where they get the resources of a Power 4 conference, even if it is the ACC in football. You're about to see the rise of SMU again because everything that they know how to do from many, many years past and all that money that was sitting there available to them.
And they're not taking any money from the ACC.
No,
They're doing this for
that's
free.
what I'm saying. But they still get the exposure
Yeah.
and the resources of a Power 4 to where now these big old owners can start slanging that money. SMU, wait 5 years. We'll be having national conversations about SMU.
Wow. All right, but not this year. Right
Not
now,
this year.
Clemson, Miami.
No, they beat the piss out of Duke this week.
Big Ten, guys. Big Ten. Indiana, Oregon, Penn State, all unbeaten. Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio State, one loss. All these teams can write their own ticket right now. Ohio State, I think we could say, is at the top of that list. And then Penn State's looking good, but they're not looking great. They're not blowing people out.
They look good every year.
Yeah. And
They
then
have,
Oregon,
they have an Ohio State problem.
they got but so if they beat Ohio State,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they could. I just,
It's a game at Happy Valley.
it's in
a
Happy
game-
Valley, but
are we looking at Oregon, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State rematch?
I'm not trying to get ahead of you, but I think Oregon could lose this weekend.
Oregon can lose
I
this
think
week. Okay.
Illinois could beat
Illinois.
them.
And we're going to talk about that as
No
well.
E
Yeah.
on the end. I really
Indiana, are we even looking at Indiana as being in the Big Ten championship?
No.
We're not today, but if they're 8-0 next week, we will be.
No, I mean it's a simple math. It's simple math to me. They get Michigan in Bloomington. Michigan is a bad football
They'll
team.
beat them.
They might as well run Wildcat every play right now. Michigan should. They probably make more reigns if they did.
Indiana does have to play Ohio State.
At Ohio State.
That's the only game that's going to be hugely challenging for them.
And I think they lose because it's at the Horseshoe.
Okay, so they have one loss.
It'll be a primetime game. So my question is, with this conference, is what we've talked about that none of us know because it's really not been published. What are the tiebreakers and all this? Because you're taking the top two.
You're right.
You're taking the top two. So I don't know
Hard
how.
to tell.
We don't know. We just really because honestly, Indiana could have one loss to Ohio State. Ohio State already has a loss in conference. So how does all this start to play out?
Somebody's
Who
going to be
beat who?
declaring themselves Big Ten champion when they didn't win the championship at the end of the season
No
because
UCFs in there.
there's no UCS going on there. All right.
Yes, I got it in.
The Big Ten is probably the most interesting.
It's most competitive, I think.
Yeah, I do too. I think
It is,
so.
but it's competitive. Big 12 now. BYU, Iowa State, both unbeaten. We got K-State, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Colorado, all one conference loss. We talked about it just a minute ago. Colorado may be one of those ones that can hop into that Big 12 championship. And it's not like they have that tough of a schedule left, guys. You know, BYU has to play Iowa State. I think. They all got to play Iowa State. So
Iowa State plays K-State at the end of the year, last game of the season. So Iowa State, K-State winner will probably go to the Big 12 championship.
I'm gonna put it to you like this: BYU's gonna go if they get past November 9th.
Utah
At Utah, that's a rivalry game. I don't care how bad Utah's playing. That's where that's like an Alabama-Auburn
Holy
game.
War,
Yeah, you just
Holy War is right.
So after that, they're got Kansas home at Arizona State. Arizona State can make a little bit of noise, and then they have
Arizona
Houston at
State's
home.
having their best year in
So,
years.
but I think BYU, if they beat Utah, they're playing for it.
They get the winner of K-State, Iowa State at the end, which sets up kind of nice for the Big 12 to have a semifinal sort of.
So in the AAC, there's 3 teams in the running for that spot, that coveted spot.
Dude, won't
as
leave this shit alone. He ain't gonna get it. Boise State's gonna take it. It don't make a damn what happens in the AAC.
If Boise State loses to UNLV this weekend,
Army, Navy, Tulane are all in the running right now for the AAC. Not Liberty,
I'm glad he
guys.
finally said it.
Who?
'Cause they're
Not
dog
Liberty.
shit.
Who's the other two?
Liberty.
Liberty. Sorry,
Army,
Tulane.
Navy, and Tulane are all in the running to be in the ACC or AAC championship game.
So
If Army, Navy play in the AAC championship game against each other,
that would
and
take
then
them
they
both
play
beating
the-
Notre Dame, by the way.
They both got to beat Notre Dame.
Yes,
They both
play
play
Notre Dame.
I know Notre Dame's not AAC. I didn't
No,
know
but
that.
they both play Notre Dame.
No, well, I
Well,
think
that's not a conference law.
Yeah, no, but I think they do it by like total record. There's a little funky. There's a little funky because they'd have to win that game. Like if one won and one lost, it wouldn't matter. There's a little different than some of the others.
And it's the highest ranked Group of 5 team.
So-
the highest ranked by the committee Group of 5
So-
team will get in as long as they're conference champions.
So again, my question has been raised, and I think this is a legit question. We talk about like the ACC for an example. Boise State wins this thing out, and their only loss is a tight loss to Oregon by 3 points, a game they should have won. What if they get in that large bid? They don't give them the Group of 5 bid because of the fact they're ranked 7th in the country.
They very well might because of
At that point, then
Because the Big 12 or ACC
are so bad. And
Yeah.
again, I would love it. I love chaos, and my teams aren't very good.
Although the Big 12 will be the one that makes that happen.
Now Thursday night there is a big game going on in the Mountain West, and that's going to be UNLV playing Boise State. Those 2 teams are the ones that are playing to basically be that number one that number 1 seed, or that number 4 seed, I guess you would say. Or not the number 4 seed, sorry, in the playoffs.
I
So
feel like if UNLV wins, I feel like it's more about Boise State than it is UNLV.
Well,
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It's the line is Boise State by 3 right now.
Where is that game?
It's at UNLV.
It's in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, baby.
That's the
Again, I think there's just so much drama around that team right now. I mean, and Boise is just very quietly going about their business. Got the best running back in the country. It's not even close. The kid's going to, if he can come out this year, be a top 5 draft pick.
I think they're coming off a bye week this week as well.
Exactly. I mean, Boise State, they are starting to look like the Boise State that beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, they've just got all the pieces. They play very efficient football. They don't make a ton of mistakes, and I don't see them losing the rest of the season.
Yep. So Boise State, you think if Boise State wins out, they are in the playoff?
They're going to be in the playoff. I'm just
As
a matter of
is.
are they going to be the 12 seed or are they going to come in as an at-large bid?
They have to be inside the top 12 to get that large bid.
No, the highest ranked of the Group of 5, the highest
wins
ranked
the conference.
I
conference winner automatically
know,
gets
but
in.
the large bids.
I don't know the large bids. Who are they think to put in
Whoever
there?
they decide, it's whoever
See,
the
that's
committee
where-
says is in the top 12.
Yeah, so we're not going to get Boise State and a Army. It's not gonna happen.
No,
You just
no,
shifted the
no,
Army
no,
other.
let me tell you what. You let it be like an undefeated Navy or Army, you damn sure will too.
But you're going to have 4
That's the only way it
teams.
would be that, though.
You're going to have 3 to 4 SEC teams. You're going to have 3 to 4 of the Big Ten teams probably. And then you got, what is that, 8 left? So you're going to have 1 from the SEC or 1 from the ACC, 1 from the Big 12, and then you have 2 more left, right? So now you got the at-large from the Group of 5. Then you got 1 more ACC team or 1 more Big 12 team, and that's it. It'll
Well,
probably
look,
be an
if-
ACC team.
if
It'll
it's-
probably be Clemson
If
and Miami.
If it's Miami and Clemson compared to Army, Navy,
Yeah.
it's going to be Miami and Clemson. I hear you. Now, Navy, I know that the service schools pull big numbers, but I just don't think that committee.
You know what I think is going to happen is honestly what I think is going to happen. They're going to try to avoid that, and they're just going to make sure that Boise State is
that's
the
the
Group of
best.
5, and they don't have to deal with it. But you may leave and potentially leave an undefeated Army or Navy
Plus,
out.
Army and Navy could play each other in that AAC championship, and then
And
the
play
next
again
week,
the very next week.
and lose, the winner of the championship loses.
But what's funny about it, it don't matter.
It's
Because after that championship, the playoffs are set. So you could actually have Army or Navy go undefeated, get placed, hypothetically, and then lose the very next week when they rematch one another.
And oh, by the way, a week later is the first round of the playoffs,
Correct.
so they wouldn't even get a bye.
No.
Yeah.
So
All right, so
And if it didn't matter, would you put your best foot forward in the Army-Navy game if you already were seeded for the playoffs?
No, well, that's tough because that's such a prestigious.
For that game, they will. They got too much honor for that. They
can't lay down for that.
To go against them again, yeah, they ain't gonna lay down.
Plus, beat the team twice in one season. Oh my God! What a feather in the cap.
Oh yeah.
Moving on. Check
Moving
this out.
on.
Check this out, guys. So, I want to tell you about something that Gronk is doing right now. Rob Gronkowski. So he's doing a podcast right now. We're advertising for his podcast. The problem is I don't know if it's a competitor against ours. You know why? You want to know the name of this podcast is called? I don't want y'all's minds to go to the gutter on this, but I promise you, when you hear the name, it's going to go to everybody's mind is going to go to the gutter as soon as I say the name of this podcast. Does anyone know the name of the podcast? Yeah.
I'm scared.
It's called Dudes on Dudes.
Oh no.
Dudes on Dudes is the name of his podcast. Did they ask anybody whether that name should be used as the name of their podcast? Would you name our podcast Dudes on
People
Dudes?
pay attention. It's like two bears, one cave.
Yep.
Dudes.
Gronk's smart. He's smart when he comes across.
Can you get him on our show?
Dudes on Dudes?
No, can you get Gronk on
Do you
our
want
show?
Dudes on Dudes on our podcast?
I'm taking a check.
Yeah. Anyhow, I just wanted to bring that up because I kept on hearing I'm listening to the radio.
And he was
it's
intrigued.
And I was intrigued. I was like,
Tell
what
me
is this
more.
podcast, Dudes on Dudes? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, moving on. So, have y'all ever seen the TV show Who's Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all seen that show? Well, there's a show, there's a similar contest that we're doing called Who's Smarter Than a 5-Year-Old? And that is our man Landon the Legend, who's
Killing
Chick
it.
picks every single week, and then we get to compete against him to see who gets to beat Landon and the Legend in the picks. So let's go ahead and listen to his picks, and then we'll do our picks. All right?
Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Navy, Indiana, Oregon, Duke.
All right, so that was our man Landon the Legend and his picks, and I think he has a system. And the system might be I'm
Pick
going
winners.
for the winners, but I'm also going for the home team.
Just the last 2 weeks.
So statistically, maybe he's onto something. I don't know.
Look,
maybe
I'm telling you this: if you've been betting him all year, you're into positive again.
Yep. But we are not a gambling show, so do not follow our gambling advice. But if you have a gambling habit, then get
Call
some help.
1-800,
Yeah,
whatever that
whatever.
number is.
Yeah, okay. It depending on what state you're in, apparently. All right, Week 9 games coming up this week. Landon just went through them. You get to know what our picks are as well. Is anyone writing this stuff down for us today? You got this down. All right.
Mountain
My man, Mountain
Yeah,
Mama.
Cheeks told us she had better things to do tonight.
Cheeks is not here, unfortunately. Yep.
playing Pokino.
Pokino, which is not sports, by the way. Okay, so going on. She's not all fully involved in sports. All right, number 8 LSU at number 14 Texas A&M. Pretty big game this weekend, man. Both these teams are exceeding my expectations this year, as I said. And then those are two teams that are also competing for the SEC championship spot. We just mentioned that as well. Whichever team loses here is going to be pretty much out of it, I would say. TMU's only loss was to Notre Dame, while LSU lost to USC. Both teams are undefeated in conference play, but only one of those guys is going to get out alive. Who's it going to be? Chief. Texas A&M or
It's
LSU?
Texas A&M, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
LSU won't even be able to hear their play calling. And Kyle Field, forget it.
Alabama had that problem this past week, didn't they? And I think Kyle Field is going to be way louder, I would say.
It is. I mean, it's just freaking loud.
All right, so you got Texas A&M.
Yep.
I got my
And
man,
I would love to have LSU in this game, but it's Texas A&M.
Rebel. Who you got, man?
Me personally, I think it's the most entertaining game. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I don't think you'll see a ton of points scored. You're going to see defense beating the hell out of defense. It's hard to say because LSU's schedule is kind of But they did just roll Arkansas, which we thought was on the up and up. Just because they're at home, I'm going to take A&M. I think they're on a collision course with Texas. Everybody wrote them off, didn't give them a chance of even being competitive this year based off the last couple of years. And I think that is their mantra for the year that's pulling through game after game. Again, I take A&M by a field goal late, maybe.
Chopper!
I think LSU gets intimidated by the environment in A&M only because they have the toughest environment to play in, right? So you don't go into another place and get intimidated by that. LSU is playing good ball. I'm taking LSU.
Ooh, LSU. Mountain Mama. Over there, looking at the stats, man. He's trying to make his decision on the fly, huh?
No,
Who you got?
I'm taking Texas A&M. I agree 100% with Rebel. It's going to be a slugfest, low scoring. But I think Chief's right. I think the environment has something to do with it. Chopper's right as far as you're talking about two of the largest, loudest environments in the SEC, but I just think somehow, some way, Texas A&M sneaks it out, kind of like a field goal.
Who wins the turnover battle wins the game?
Give me A&M.
Give me A&M also. I think that you got to go into an environment where not only are the fans going to be going crazy, but you're going to be looking at a team that's ready to win. And I think Texas A&M is well coached, guys. I really do. Not that LSU is not, but it really comes down to that. It does. It comes down to the environment. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Texas A&M by 3. I'll go with exactly what you said, Rebel. But we have another Texas team playing this week, and we got Texas A&M. But they're not playing in Texas. They're playing at one of the one of the toughest places to play
these days
in the country. You're gonna have at least 10,000 fans screaming and hollering for,
and 9 of them will be your own. 9,000 of them will be your own.
The opposing team will have 9,000 fans there. Exactly. So Texas, number 5 versus number 25 Vanderbilt. I don't know, man. Vanderbilt beating Alabama. I think that's a big win for them. I don't think that's a big win in the SEC. I think that Alabama is beatable this year.
It's Vanderbilt.
It's Vanderbilt. But
that's the biggest win in their program history, possibly.
Yeah,
yes.
just go ahead and retire.
But Texas is better than Alabama. Texas obviously wins this game, guys.
Yeah.
Don't even go down that road. Chopper, you feel the same way?
All the way. Texas is going to roll over them.
All right.
In my opinion, as well as Vanderbilt has played, I love the story of Vanderbilt right now. It's just a lot of fun. But the Cinderella story ends this week because you're coming off a Texas team that's in disarray, and they just went and tried to find a stepchild to right ship, and it's going to be at the expense of the Commodores. Now, that being said, you let this upset occur. I so want to go to Nashville. Like, you let it get to the second half, I may try to hop a plane from Charlotte and just land in the middle of the city.
Just land in the
Don't
middle of
watch it burn, baby. Yeah, I got Texas big.
We're going to get on the road early and get there,
I got
man.
Texas big in this game. Even though I love what they're doing in Nashville this year.
Chiefy Chief, who you got, man?
Horns.
Horns up. You're putting your horns up and everything.
Horns up.
All right, man.
Welcome horns.
And Mountain Mama Jama, who you got there, buddy?
The last time,
New name.
the last time,
The Mama Jama.
the last time I sat here and said, "Boy, I feel sorry for South Carolina. Got to go to Alabama if Alabama loses the game to Vanderbilt." And I'm not saying it this time. Texas is going to win, but it ain't going to be no blowout. I think it's going to. No,
I don't think so either.
You're probably talking, 10 points, maybe 15 or something. But Texas is going to win.
I got 20 plus.
Texas is going to win, but it ain't going to be no 100. It won't be like that.
You don't think Texas is going to go in there and just be like, you know
No,
what?
I don't.
Screw this. We got to win big night.
Not anymore. This is the SEC. They don't do that.
Oh, no, I think Texas will not take the foot off the throttle.
No, they can't.
Because technically they're playing a ranked team this week, so they need to show points.
They might have a confidence problem with that quarterback. Both of those quarterbacks look terrible.
Yeah.
Arch Manning did not look good at all for the little bit of time he was in there.
They played a defense.
I know. He fumbled. He had that one where he was going back to throw it, and he hit him, and it came. I mean, it looked bad.
All right. Number 21, Mizzou, who I've been relatively critical of, although I had high hopes for them. I thought Cook was going to be an exceptional quarterback, and he has not been. He's been, what did you call the quarterback before? What was that word you used? Sufficient or efficient? Yeah, he hasn't even been efficient.
He totally came back into the game and
He went to the hospital and came back.
Yes, he left
He
for 2
left the
hours.
stadium.
For 2 hours.
And he came back.
Came back and
We
won
had
the game
to.
when he was down 2 touchdowns.
All
against
right.
Auburn.
So he
good.
was better than efficient
The
that
kid
game.
is good,
Yeah, he was
man.
dog that game.
He's good.
Yeah. Okay. So
To a freaking
man,
doctor's appointment in the middle of the game.
I don't think it was
damn,
appointments.
I did not hear that story. I wish I
he was
would have
gone-
heard that story.
I heard today. I watched the game again today. He was gone for 2 hours.
Wow. Okay, so number 21 Mizzou playing against number 15 Alabama. Who you got there, Chief? Or Chief? We'll go with Chief. Who you got in that game? Mizzou, 6-1, has barely floated by the last several games, but they did have a quarterback that went to the hospital for 2 hours and came back and won the game.
Cook's good, but roll tide.
All right, man. Roll Tide. Boston College. What?
what?
I'm throwing notes out there that are wrong. All right.
Are you got Tourette's?
He's got. He was on AI again.
Why don't you go around and ask everybody else?
I'm like, wait a minute.
What happened?
He went off script.
I did go off script. I'm sorry.
Stop using ChatGPT. Every time.
No, okay. So, what the fuck?
They got
guys?
him flustered.
I am very flustered. All right, so your host is flustered, but that's fine. We're gonna reel it
Off
in.
to college. Off to college.
Rebel, what are your thoughts on Missouri and
Hey, my
Alabama?
man's taking over the show. My thoughts are this. Missouri's quarterback is beat up. They've got some injuries at some key positions. They've had some injuries at running back as well. Alabama, again, they're just going to out-talent Missouri. They're going to win the game. It's in Tuscaloosa. I'm going to digress for about 2 seconds, though. I watched the Missouri game this past weekend. I've had a lot of questions about my Mountaineers, the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Like, what's wrong with you guys this year? I watched that game, called my buddy and go, that's what's wrong. The first play, I turn it on. Missouri hands to their running back, gets tackled by the Auburn linebacker. App State running back got tackled by the App State linebacker. That's what's wrong with us. Thank you, transfer portal. Go piss yourself. Anyway, I digress.
So who did you choose in this game? All right. Mountain Mama.
I agree with everything Rebel said except for the Appalachian State piece.
No, you agree with that too.
He's getting more like me trying to shoehorn his team into the talk show.
No, that was legit.
The only thing I'll add is
perfect timing.
I think that whatever the hospital is there near Alabama, they need to reserve a bed for Brady Cook because he'll probably be going back to the hospital after this game. Give me Alabama.
All right. So, you know what? You know what's wrong with Florida? We lose our recruits to Alabama. Okay.
Apparently, according to the Miami of Ohio, they do too.
All right. So, Missouri playing at Alabama. You're not going in there and getting out alive, man. I got Alabama for that game. I mean, there's no way Alabama's going to lose that game right there. Who do you got there?
Roll Tide roll.
Are you? You're like practically a fan at this point.
Yeah. I think you'll see.
I mean, apparently Saban said Tennessee was a bigger rivalry.
I heard that today. That's you're saving that for the what the food. That's my what the food. So, however, so not to spoil it. But yeah, I think you'll see Alabama as a more disciplined team. He everything that we're saying, he's hearing, and they're not going to let that. They're not going to let that go. If people tell you, hey, this is what we want, a guy making $10 million a year is going to give you that, in my opinion.
Clearly, he's listening to our show too.
Sure,
that's why he's hearing.
Sure,
it.
Oh, he's not one fan.
Sure. People are saying, give me that. He's going to trust me. He's going to give it to him.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that.
And he gives dudes on dudes.
He's going to give it. Dudes on dudes going to give it to him this week against Mizzou. All right. Damn. That's a good one, man. All right. Number 12, Notre Dame.
Who did you pick?
Of course I picked Alabama.
Okay.
You got to get it right, man.
I didn't hear you pick.
All right. Notre Dame, number 12, is going to play at Navy, number 24. Navy's in Jersey somewhere?
Annapolis,
Maryland.
Close enough.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a suburb of D.C.
Fired. Yeah.
The game's played. I think they're playing that game at the Ravens Stadium.
Oh, they are. Yeah, so Notre Dame has the number 5 scoring defense in the country, only get up 12 points per game on average. They're not exceptional against the rush, though, and we all know that Navy's got the rush, right? That's all they got is the rush.
Well, they don't run that wing T stuff near as much as they used to, though.
Notre Dame's number 30 in the country, so that's above average, obviously. 113 yards a game they're giving up. Navy puts up 274 rushing yards a game. I still have Notre Dame win this game. I think that it's just a more put-together team. It would be a huge upset if Navy wins, but they're not going to. Let's just say that. So, Chief, who do you got, man? You're going to stick to your military roots? But you're an Air Force guy, so you might go against Navy on this one.
Fighting Irish all weekend long.
Yeah, people do not like Notre Dame because they have that little bit of extra oomph whenever people are voting for them. But they have a decent team this year. They're not going to be playing for a national championship though, for sure.
No, but I think they beat Navy.
They do, yeah. Mountain Man, Mama Jama, who you got?
I hate to say it, I think Notre Dame's going to win. I really want
You
Navy.
hate to say it?
Yeah, I just Notre Dame. I think how many times has Notre Dame lost to Navy ever? Once. I think once.
Okay.
I'm not going to say ever. Once in like a long time. I just think Notre Dame's going to find a way that luck of the Irish bullshit. They're going to pull it out. I want Navy to win. I'm rooting for Navy, but if I'm picking with money, I'm picking Notre Dame.
Chopper, you have military roots in your family, so you must be going for Navy.
Not Navy roots.
Not Navy. Ooh, okay, you got Army roots.
Yeah.
All right.
Go Irish.
Go Irish. And Rebel.
I love fundamental football. It will take you late into a game, and then fundamentals will win you a game. The midshipmen pull the upset.
What?
Whoa,
that is a ballsy call, man.
I wouldn't call it an upset.
12.5 is what the Desert has. 12.5.
Oh, wow.
That's a huge upset, yeah.
That's a Vegas upset, yeah.
Definitely an upset. But there is a game that I have on my list that I am thinking might be an upset, and that's Washington against number 13 Indiana. Indiana should win this game easily. Washington played Iowa, who lacks consistency on offense, but still put up 40 points. Or Iowa put up 40 points against Washington. So I don't know. I think that Washington lost too many players to win this game, but
Look,
they did beat Michigan.
Coach Bagadix figures it out. He can score some points. He wins the game. Look, Indiana is in one of those special seasons where this dude's about to get really paid a lot by a big-time Power 4 school. He knows what he's doing. Indiana wins the game, and I think they want the dog because, again, Washington don't have enough ammunition and the weapon to pull it off.
They beat Michigan.
That's like saying you beat the school of deaf and blind.
Michigan's better than Washington, and they still lost to them.
Michigan's not that great.
Michigan bad. Indiana wins game.
Yeah, all right. I got you on that too. Indiana wins this game.
Who's your daddy?
Yes.
I mean,
Who's your daddy?
They got game day as well. Indiana wins the game.
Shout out to Who's Your
Because
Daddy.
here's one thing I will talk about Bloomington. They're a basketball school. There's no doubt about it. Even when they're bad basketball, they fill that gymnasium up. When they get good in football, they get manic about it. Like, they get ravenous about it. I mean, they were out there jumping and screaming at who gives a damn hour, at game day last week when he wasn't even there. Indiana's going to be ready to play.
All right.
Indiana.
Mountain Man, Indiana. Does everyone say Indiana?
Hoosiers.
And you got Indiana as well. So we all have Indiana. That's a wash then. But I think somebody mentioned that Illinois, number 20, might upset Oregon this week. That's another possible upset on the list. Now, Oregon, they beat Ohio State. You'd think they'd be able to beat the crap out of Illinois. Purdue put up 49 points against Illinois, and Purdue is not a good team. So after looking at this game a little bit more thoroughly, I was like, yeah, Oregon's going to beat the crap out of Illinois. And that's who I'm putting down as my win for the week. But I see somebody over there pointing at me, so go ahead.
Oregon is the one team this year that, if you look at trajectory, every other team's had their falters, their flat lines. Oregon started flat, and they get better, and they get better, and they get better, and they get better. They are on the trajectory of a team that's going to compete for a national championship. Oregon wins this game. Oregon doesn't look back at this point. I mean, I think, barring some crazy injury, Oregon is destined to be a Final Four team at this point. And I would have never said that after the first 3 weeks of the season. I mean, hell, Wyoming gave them all. Or Idaho.
No,
Idaho gave them all they wanted, and they look dreadful.
Yeah, every one of us was talking shit about Oregon after the week one.
They proved me
Except
wrong.
for you. You were up on their balls.
I was the one that
for
said they were
sure.
laying in the weeds, and they were calling a pretty basic offense.
And you're looking smarter and smarter every week.
Amazing.
Looking like a
Mountain
genius.
Man. Mountain genius.
Mountain genius.
Here's another
Mountain
one.
genius. Who do you got in this game, man? Illinois.
No, I'm going
Oregon.
Oregon's going to win, but I think it's going to be close. I'm going to pull up Corso closer than the experts think.
Oh,
It's going to
nice,
be close
yeah.
because it's Oregon. Of course, it's going to be weird. It's going to be
Oregon is a 21.5 favorite.
They
I
don't
don't
win
think
by that much.
I don't think it's that much. I think that's excessive.
Yeah.
I would tease that game.
I got a $50 gift card for any of our listeners who comes up with how many names I call him this season. All right? If you could come up with that.
If they go back and
number.
listen, they can count up and then go from there.
Exactly.
Hey, I like your method to your madness.
First one to do that gets a $50 gift card
Yeah, I'm gonna do it
to
myself.
Bonefish Grill.
Yeah.
All right? Because for some
Bonefish.
reason I just. Bonefish. What's wrong with Bonefish?
It's the gift card he's got sitting on it.
I got it.
It's the gift
All right.
What you got for Christmas last year?
It is.
I got a $50 gift card to MJ's Bar and Grill.
You got it from Columbia.
Anybody who comes up with how many times I call Mountain Jama Jama
Or Red
a new
Lobster.
fucking name, all
Or
right?
Red
As long
Lobster.
as you don't call him dude on dude.
Red Lobster.
Yeah. What you call him dude on dude? He's
All right, I got to Sizzler. I got a
Sizzler.
$50 gift card to Sizzler if you can find one. All right, it's somewhere. There's at least one Sizzler because I saw a TikTok video with a guy running on the roof of a Sizzler. So there's one out there.
Here comes that
somewhere.
Tourette's again. Boston College.
Boston College.
All right, Chopper, who you
Chopper, who you got?
For what game?
Illinois,
Oregon
Oregon.
versus-
Oregon all day. Go Ducks.
All right, does everyone say their name?
Quack, quack. Go
We've been
Ducks.
I think I've been the only one that bailed off on that was on the Notre Dame game. I think everybody else has been consistent thus far.
You got Oregon too, right?
Oregon.
Number
I
20.
picked LSU.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
Number 22 SMU at Duke. At Duke, by the way, there's going to be 30,000 fans in that stadium screaming and hollering because
No,
they're
there
doing
won't.
good.
No, there'll be about 18,000. The other 12 will be people from Texas.
You'll probably have a few Tar Heels come over just to heckle.
Yep.
They'll
They'll cheer for
it.
SMU.
That or watch some decent football.
I'm actually surprised Duke's not ranked right now just because they only have one loss. But then again, there's a lot of teams with one loss. So and everyone's laughing at me on that statement. So, Boston College. All right.
Go Mustangs.
Yes.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, besides that, so I think everyone's got SMU except for me on that one.
Oh, you taking Duke?
Chief, who do you got on that game? Duke?
SMU.
SMU.
Come on now.
You.
Chopper, SMU.
Mustangs.
And we got another one. Who do you got there?
SMU.
You taking Duke?
I'm taking Duke.
I lost
Against
respect
my
to you.
better judgment, I'm taking Duke.
He is a Gator fan.
That's fair.
SMU puts up 440 yards a game. Whew. That's a lot of yards a game, man.
You're taking Duke.
And I'm still taking Duke.
Well, you got to make it.
Only because I got Tourette's,
Yeah.
and I'm just throwing out names at this point, all
I got you
right?
down for 7 picks at Boston College. Is that right?
Boston College all the way, baby. All right.
It's like screaming Armageddon, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What's your what the fuck?
Mine is
Rebel.
because I think
Rebel always has a good what the fuck.
about what the
It's always
fuck
about that
is.
statement.
I'm gonna come back around to what I've said before. Alabama goes for a 4th and inches sneak, doesn't get it, and their two receivers are taking jump shots on the side. What are you doing? What are you doing? Again, loss of control, no discipline. Alabama, what the fuck?
Alabama? I know you have a what the fuck, because you kind of
We
alluded to it
spoiled it a
earlier.
little bit. So Nick Saban came out and said that Alabama-Tennessee was a bigger rivalry to his players than Auburn-Alabama was.
How many times has Tennessee played out Alabama?
Every year.
Yeah.
To be fair, he also said Vanderbilt was the place everybody wanted to go play for an easy win.
Come on, man. Just a total dig at Auburn.
Yeah,
That's all
that
that is. That's all that is.
You know what?
It's a total dig at Auburn.
I buy that.
Total dig at Auburn.
Iron Bowl? I got Auburn in that game, baby.
Boom.
I got Auburn. I call it now. Don't even ask. I'm not even gonna ask myself that question.
Put him down for Boston College.
Put him down for Boston College, all right? Exactly. All right. What the fuck, Chief? Why are you talking smack, bro? What the
This
fuck?
is Major League Baseball for Cheeks. They were not going to have a New York series. That was not possible. That's how I think that came from above.
Oh, you talking about the good Lord? Or you talking about from the commissioner?
Commissioner.
That would have been fun. You
No,
got,
it wasn't.
You got what the fuck
No.
for me?
No, nobody would have watched.
No, that was the worst watch World Series I think in the last 30 years was the Subway Series.
Oh,
Nobody
okay.
gave a shit. They wanted New York, LA,
Right.
big market. Major League Baseball's about to make a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah, they are going to make a lot of money. That's a good point. They told the umpire, they're like, fucking call it a strike.
They didn't
Call it a
WNBA.
strike!
Throw mustard bottles at you. Don't
I
do
got
it.
my what the fuck is the Texas-Georgia game with the students throwing the bottles and the referees overturning the call.
Yeah.
That sets a precedent.
Oh, absolutely.
That sets a bad precedent that not that hey, we got to change the call if we might get out of here, but it delayed the game for the refs to sit there and discuss it. It was about a 4 or 5 minute delay for the refs to come around and discuss it. There was no replay done whatsoever. You saw Kirby Smart's.
you can't.
Yeah, you can't. You saw Kirby Smart's reaction, and that's in an SEC game. I don't know. We got a ref problem. I say it every week. We got a ref problem, and I know refereeing's hard, but this is the kind of ref problem I'm talking about. These kind of bullshit,
I know
ridiculous kind of calls and switches and no
Well,
calls. It makes no sense.
The thing you're going to have a problem now is as money gets backed into this, you got a ref problem. You're now going to have a buy-in referee problem. There's already precedence of that in the NBA. So that's what this starts to bring to light.
But don't forget that it is the SEC and it does mean more.
I mean, if you want to credit that too, hey, they're trying to screw Texas over as a newbie.
Yes,
I'll buy that. you know.
yes.
I'll buy that.
Someone asked me what the fuck. Ask me.
what if
What the fuck? All right, so I got a good one. Ready? We raised $4,500 for Anthony Grabe.
Yes, sir.
Lake Carolina is an amazing fucking community that supports the people around it.
it's a village, brother?
What the fuck, Lake Carolina? Y'all are awesome, dude. And Northeast Columbia, great place to live, man. Come on and join us for Guys at the Bar Talking!
See ya.